for just a little bit. A lot is happening, and in some spheres, a lot less is happening at the same time. One of many things that comes up day to day in the work that I do is that I chose this, which can mean a lot of different things depending on what the person hearing it is bringing to it. Sometimes people treat me like I have taken the easy way out of what? I don't know. Whatever preconceived difficulties or obligations that person already has in mind. Or sometimes I've been told in both words and actions, people have treated me like I have somehow voluntarily made my life and work harder, so I have something to complain about. Otherwise, I'd have nothing, not really, because life would be so fantastic and I'm just hiding how fantastic it is behind complaints and problems. And then there's just being an artist to begin with. It gets a lot of hate unless you're already wildly successful, and specifically in what that means to a particular person you may or may not even know. Everyone else runs the risk of being seen as just lazy. Like I said, that you're somehow taking the easy way out of something. Work the system, play it on people you think your work is worth something. Sometimes, even other artists think this, both in positive and negative. There are artists who have a secure, regular job who have told me they know what it's like. That they're in the same boat, the struggles, the difficulties, everything. They don't usually take kindly to me trying to explain the differences between what we both need. Then there are the artists who genuinely think it's an easy gig, who won't listen to the support needs in their community either, but they will talk about community and how much we need each other. Particularly, they need other people to step up. So if you're new, which one am I? Where do I fall in this whole mess of people being people but trying to fit in? I chose this because the alternative was no longer existing, at least as me. Which some people would say is inherently a negative, but I digress. And that has gotten me a lot of hate over the years and prompted me to examine who and what I consider my actual community. There have been plenty of people who've asked and demanded I give up on my ethics to please the homogenous community, and that I deserved whatever happened to me if I didn't. I used to make about half my very low income from being around others in my community and being supported, being uplifted, being encouraged. I did the work and the community responded. I developed my work and the community responded. And then I stuck to my values when prominent and likable figures contradicted them, and what had been my community told me I was no longer deserving because those ethics they so strongly supported me sticking to suddenly were bad when it applied to what they wanted me to do and say and encourage. Especially with some things happening recently, which I will not be going into for quite some time, if at all. I had to make a conscious choice what direction I'm going to take. Otherwise, people are trying to tell me majority rules except when majority is against them. I can't tolerate people starving me out if I keep relying on them. So it's not really a choice over whether I'm going to be an artist or not, an artisan of this or that or the other thing, but whether or not I'm going to keep going or just stop. I get handed the rules or I make a new system. I do the work that people tell me I definitely don't do, or I fall in line so I don't threaten people with independence anymore. And testing here, I am just testing because I actually had to take a break because the trees were attacking my nose for about a week. It has gotten somewhat better, but this didn't originally include footage from events that I've done recently, so you get to see the application of this thing. It's a very small detail in the tent overall, but as I've said many, many times before, nothing's ever just one thing. I love to add lots and lots of little details, so it's more of an experience, a place to be versus just a table to visit. But really, back to what I was saying, when I use myself as an example, it's really easy for people who aren't actually engaged for positive reasons to accuse me of being self-centered, ironically. And then I'm told I shouldn't use hypotheticals, and it has to be something I'm specifically involved in, something that specifically happened to me, or I shouldn't care. And I don't have time to, in my descriptions, I have to get into the dirty details, and I have to make it personal, I have to make it relevant, I have to make it timely. But if I also go into the details and I make it personal, I make it relevant and relevant to what's happening now. I'm an attention-seeking drama queen lacking in solidarity. It's almost as if the people get brainwashed by a hive mind if it's not called a hive mind. It gets past the censors. The only Borg in the cube who's really honestly self-aware, but every other Borg thinks that the Borg cube isn't a hive, it's simply a community. That's how it gets past the censors. And therefore, my work is selfish. And depending on the definition, sure, my work is selfish. And I have also been told in both words and actions that I think I'm special. I get special treatment. And listen up, I don't have imposter syndrome. I really like my work. I can always develop things. I can always get better, closer to goals, but I'm not going to act like my work is trash just because it's popular to conflate humility with self-deprecation. And as I get older and I continue in my work, I'm realizing people are really afraid of that. They try to pick apart what I am and am not allowed to do based on every facet of me that they can get their hands on, and then tell me my confidence is toxic somehow. But also, if I try to be approachable, it's a lure or manipulative. If I ask for help, I had better be willing to help out 1,000-fold to prove I'm deserving of whatever I get, because they don't see me doing anything that checks their boxes. But if they also see me helping it out, it's supposedly for show, and I am so very tired at any given moment, and there is no winning the game except not to play it, and that also makes people afraid. I can see the game, but I cannot feign interest in the game. I actively avoid the game for my well-being and the quality of what I want to share with you. And for that, I get told that my health is a choice, that I think I'm special and I don't have to play the game to get what I want. It's a person's fear that really demands that I play along. So they feel about not really making much of an effort to get out of playing that game. It's the fear that I might make somebody look bad. It's the fear I might expose something that they could have been doing, and the fear that if they agree with me or try to do something that I'm doing, that they're not going to be as well liked by people who are running the game. So they jump on board with trying to punish or withdraw support just because I'm not enthusiastically jumping up and down and voluntarily abandoning my ethics in favor of whoever's decided they're most worthy to be a mentor this time. It's the people who encourage everyone around them to be punk, but only in the specific way that all of their friends consider themselves punk, and the copy degradation goes from there. And if this is the first video you've seen of mine, that may sound really negative, but it's the realization that the same behaviors are perpetuated, it's just branded really differently, which is very freeing in a way. A lot of negative things happen, but not being ethically beholden to the same people perpetuating it is a certain kind of freedom in its own. A long time ago, I read someone talking about how many self-insert characters written are teenagers, and that's largely because people become more specific as they age. It's not to say that teenagers can't be specific and unique, but there's so much less by way of attachments as people get older, or there should be. It obviously isn't always the case, but the most popular books lately tend to be the ones where the widest audience possible can relate to the main character. It's the character who's the thread we can weave into our own experiences and worldviews. It's an ingredient rather than a finished recipe. People are really afraid a lot of the time to be a whole frickin' unfinished tapestry. And that may sound like an oxymoron, but bear with me. They want to be the thread, so they can fit in somewhere and not be folded up and put on a shelf, waiting for someone else to decide they're worthy of being put on display. My work and the person it comes from is a web. It's not a strand. For years and years, I've been told that if I change myself to fit in with the full project of someone else's life and be what they need me to be, then I would be worthy of participating in the project. If I slimmed myself down, streamlined my work, then I could be in a long list of niche products for people to flip through and decide if I'm worthy of paying my rent and my groceries. But also, if I stood out enough and was unique enough, people would flock to me and my work. But also, if I had too many expectations and too many specifics, then I'd lose sales from the general beige public, and I should know better than to not hop on trends. It's infuriating. But I'm also not allowed to be infuriated unless someone else says so, apparently. And so with all that's gone on and going on now and potentially going on in the future, I am done. I may not belong in an anthology. I may never be asked to apply for a co-op or have a large community to catch me when I fall, whether it's my fault or not. But I do, however, have my work, and I'm presenting that to you in hopes it can encourage a little more curiosity about things than you have probably been told is okay, even by someone you might consider friends or community who doesn't mean any harm. You might have expected a more straightforward pattern walkthrough in this video, and that's still on the table for future projects, but you can find the pattern for free at the link in the description, and if it's not there yet, then it will be shortly, because this is coming out while I am working on cleaning up and organizing for the recent events that I've done and making some plans for the future. The point of this video isn't just, hey there, I made a web corner for my booth decor. It's something that I wanted to add for a long time, but I kept getting distracted from, and finally I sat down and carved out time for it. And the point is, what in your life is encouraging you to slim yourself down to a single thread? To see yourself as an ingredient in something else? Who have you been giving a pass on pressuring you to do this because they don't really mean it that way? So much business advice that comes across my radar boils down to limit yourself. Limit yourself because people want the convenience and never be overwhelmed. So much lately is marketed as a luxury, and part of the definition of luxury is something that is non-essential. The work I do won't cure cancer, it won't patch the hole in your roof, things like that, but it's still essential. You deserve to have someone tell you the things that I tell you. You deserve to have access to art that was made by humans beyond a live, laugh, love by Gucci. You deserve to feel empowered to try something with your own hands, to work with yarn that didn't come from an oil well, eat food that didn't come from a factory, have a shirt that fits, explore spirituality without labels, and more and more and more that doesn't get addressed. So ask yourself, who is trying to convince you these things are not essential, and what do they gain from it? If you're local, you can find me weekly at the farmers market that I have specified on other social media. I'm scaling back on markets, but I'm still doing specific ones that work with my evolving needs, and I am trying harder to keep myself to a video every Friday at minimum, and your subscription and interaction with those videos really, really helps me do that. Everything I do here is just me, and if you support that in person, you know who you are. Thank you. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your favorite shadow people, and do your part. Support the dark arts. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.